Hey, it's Dr. Birchler. Over the last few days, I've had several patients asking about things they can do with this recent train wreck and vinyl chloride being spilled into the environment and burning off these chemicals and things like that, things they can do. And that is a great question. And I think when you have something like this, you have to look at things that make sense, even if you don't have a test or some certainty that it's going to help, but things that make sense. So I'm just going to share with you some things that I think are sensible to do and things that I am doing with you. So first off, I think one of the first things to do is to for your indoor air quality to look at plants that can absorb volatile organic compounds called VOCs. And we'll put in a link to some articles and things here. There's different articles on this. Some of them reference a study from some years back on NASA or something like that looked at air quality relative to this. That being said, for me, plants are nature's medicine, both in terms of food and medicines, and they're also going to absorb things from the air. They take in the carbon and they give off the oxygen, right? So we give off the carbon and take in the oxygen. So when you have these carbon-containing organic compounds, these plants may be able to kind of take in these carbon-containing gases and then give us nice oxygen. So I would look at in your indoor space to look at some of these plants and have them in your indoor environment. Secondly, obviously looking at water purification systems. So looking at filtration systems that are proven by third party to decrease things like vinyl chloride or things in the water. We contacted a company to be able to purchase water purification systems like pitchers or carbon-based filtration systems. And then from our office here, if you need something like that, if you don't have one or having trouble getting one because they're all sold out, we will sell them to you basically at cost that we can get them to try to help out. So absolutely trying to have water purification. You can also buy bottled water or things that come from, I would get something from northwest of where we're at to try to, if you're getting spring water or something like that, okay? Additionally, you could buy distilled water. So with distillation, they're having the water, kind of vapor come off, which is going to have kind of leave impurities behind or solids behind. I haven't really studied whether using distillation purifies VOCs, but you could read about that and see if it would make sense to purchase distilled water as opposed to, say, spring water or something like that. Clearly, trying to have an indoor air purification system may help. That's not something I have a lot of independent knowledge on, whether these equipment actually do purify VOCs. I think it makes sense, but do your own research on that and see if you feel that it makes sense to purchase something, or if there's enough evidence that it removes those chemicals to spend money on an indoor air purifying type of system. Then the other thing I'm going to show you here is using herbs or plant-based medicines. So this chemical phosgene is one, my understanding of when this vinyl chloride or other things react and turn to to a gas phase, that it can produce this phosgene chemical, and that when that's inhaled, it can certainly be inflaming or damaging to the lungs and other parts of the body. So one of the questions I would ask as a person who's interested in herbal medicine and the body's own mechanisms of detoxification and how nutrients tie into that is what is the mechanism through which these chemicals create toxicity. And one thing this article says here is that it quickly depletes the body of glutathione, which is the body's main antioxidant system. So it talks about this depleting the glutathione here. And that's common for a lot of chemicals, including heavy metals and things like that. So I don't think that everybody needs to always supplement with glutathione. Your body makes that, and it should be able to use nutrients and make it. But if you are in an environment where you're having toxicity, toxic exposure, it would make sense to me to supplement with some kind of glutathione. This is called a liposomal one, which it absorbs better than other forms. So I do think there's some rationale to supplementing glutathione for a period of time, even if it's not always necessary to do that. Secondly, this talks about kind of downstream, once the cells are damaged, you get, as is in the case with many kind of toxicity issues or infections, you get these kind of inflammatory chemicals and mediators. And we know a great deal about herbs that modulate these pathways, and so I would look at herbs that are known to tie into these cytokine or inflammatory pathways. So I'm a big fan of using herbal medicine or plant-based medicine to deal with environmental toxicity or immune stresses and things like that. Another step in that is looking at essential oils or plants that you could diffuse, and can they bind things in the air? That's not something I have a lot of knowledge on. For me, I would look at that if I have essential oils or I'm into that. Is there something where there's some evidence that it could improve that? And I really don't know the answer to that, but for people out that are into that, there's enough information out there. You could look at that and see if it makes sense to try to diffuse some kind of plant-based, natural, organic, compound or aromatic compound that could somehow bind or neutralize, other VOCs. Don't know a lot about that, but that's something that makes sense to me. I just don't know if there's something specific that would make a difference there. So those are some ideas on some things you could do in addition to clearly improving the diet. Anytime you're dealing with environmental toxicity, think of it like a cumulative thing. So if you can't control the environmental toxicity, but you have dietary toxicity, you have other kinds of things going into the body, then your overall load, your body has a lot to deal with. Where it'd be better if you had, in theory, if you had a perfect diet, or you weren't having other kind of toxins coming in, through your food or through your skin, through personal care products and things like that, then maybe your body can put more of its energy or reaction and detoxification into dealing with what's going on right now. So I'd absolutely look at some of those fundamentals of diet and personal care products and other things that can be day-to-day, toxicity stressors, and improve on that as well. That's just common sense there. So I hope this is helpful to somebody. If there's anything in here that you have questions on, or would like help finding a water purification thing for the home, if you're having trouble finding that, let us know. We'll do anything we can to help you.